2023 has been a banger year for games, so much so that it may go down as one of the best years for games in the gaming industry. With that being said, because of so many bangers throughout the year, it's impossible for me to fit all of the games in a top 5 list. So there will be some notable omissions. Omissions such as Final Fantasy XVI, a game with the best musical score in my opinion. A game like Hogwarts Legacy that made every Harry Potter fan enjoy the world of Hogwarts because that was also an amazing game. Or a sleeper hit in Octopath Traveler 2, a game that gets greatly underappreciated by the community. Or the shadow drop and surprise of Hi-Fi Rush, a colorful anime music action game that was a blast to play. So there was a lot of great games for 2023, and impossible for me to fit them all in a top 5 list. But here are my top 5 games of 2023. Kicking my list off at number 5 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It is no secret that I am a big Star Wars fan personally, and Jedi Survivor hit all the right notes. Whether it's the beautiful vistas, the great characters, the continuation of Cal Kestis' story, and the amazing combat, Star Wars Jedi Survivor was an amazing game. The only reason it is not higher on my list personally is because the game launched with major performance issues across all platforms, and it's very difficult for me to endorse a game that launched in such a bad state. So therefore, it gets the number 5 slot on my list. Coming in at number 4, this one's going to be, the ponies are going to be mad at me for this one, but SpiderMan 2. Now, Spider-Man, I'm a big fan of the character. I like Miles. I like Peter. The game was amazing. Insomniac not only crafted an amazing video game, they crafted what is quite possibly the best Spider-Man game ever made. So why is it number 4 on my list? Well, despite how great this game is, it doesn't change the fact that it lacked evolution. When it came down to it, the other games on this list either evolved the gaming industry in one way or another, or it moved me emotionally to levels of which Spider-Man 2 couldn't match. And therefore, this is why Spider-Man 2 for me is the number 4 game on my list. Coming in at number 3, this might surprise a lot of people, and that is Sea of Stars. Now, it is no secret that I grew up as an 80s baby. I grew up on a Super Nintendo playing games like Final Fantasy III, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG. And Sea of Stars is a love letter to those games. While you can make a strong case that Octopath Traveler 2 does deserve to be in this spot, the difference for me came in the form of its art style, story, musical score, and lovable characters. No game on this list, whether it is the number 1 or the number 5 or an honorable mention, moved me in the way that Sea of Stars did. Sure, some of that comes from with the nostalgia feels, but just the way the story was written and the characters, no game had the emotional impact on me like Sea of Stars, and therefore it takes the number 3 slot. Coming in at number 2 is a very late entry in this calendar year, and that is the finals. Yes, I have been an advocate for this game throughout all the betas, but it doesn't change the fact that for me personally, I am a first-person shooter player, first and foremost. And the finals, in a genre that has been basically overly saturated and lacked innovation, the finals does both of these things. Unlike the parodies that we see with X-Defiant being another Call of Duty, or a Valorant being a parody of Counter-Strike, the finals, there is nothing like the finals. And not only is this game's mass destruction on display at all times, it is a blast to play, and it can cater to both casuals who are just looking for a good time, or the esports sweats that want to try hard and do the top of the leaderboards and win tournament after tournament. The finals is a fantastic shooter, and it shows that there is still room for innovation in a genre that has gone overly saturated, which is why it takes the number 2 slot on my list. Coming in at number 1, let's not kid ourselves. If you haven't guessed it by now, shame on you. Number 1 is Baldur's Gate 3. The reason why Baldur's Gate 3 is number one, and quite frankly my game of the year, is because it checks all the boxes. For your price of admission, a game with no microtransactions, you have hundreds if not thousands of hours of gameplay and replayability. When a game is released and it brings players who never played D&D before or a CRPG and brings them in and gets them to try it for the first time, you're doing something right. When a game comes out and other developers are fearful that your game has raised the bar and standards of consumers, you've done something right. When you can line up 100 people and they each have a different experience because of how fluid the game is to player choice, you've done something special. Everything about Baldur's Gate is impacted by you, the player, and the decisions you make. Whether that's how you create your character, a dialogue option, or how you approach combat. A perfect example of this is my buddy Angel spent 2 hours on a boss fight. Said that he completed that boss fight and felt proud of himself. I told to him that I beat that same boss without even fighting him. I beat that boss through dialogue options, so much so that I convinced the boss to kill himself. Much to his surprise, yes, you can convince a boss to kill himself. This is a thing. And this is one of the reasons why, and the biggest reason why Baldur's Gate deserves this position of being number one in Game of the Year. Because not only is the game visually beautiful, not only does it have a great musical score, great voice acting, a great story, but the game, unlike any other game released this year, gives the players the ultimate choice, and it adapts to what you do with little to no limitations. And therefore, when you can have so many people and consume a game and everyone have a different experience, that is something special and needs to be praised. And the best part is there is no microtransactions, no greedy monetization practices. The game is literally a full price box game, and for your money, the amount of hours and content you have cannot be matched. So Baldur's Gate takes the number one spot and is my game of the year. If you agree with my list, great. If you have a different list or different suggestions, please, I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comments below. This is Veteran Gamer, and I hope to see you guys next time.